Welcome to the Week in Italian Startup, where we discuss the latest highlights happening in the Italian tech and investment ecosystem. Welcome everyone to the Week in Italian Startup summer edition. Just the week before the holiday, a lot of things happening. Nick, welcome. And I know you've been monitoring a bunch of stuff, and it's been busy essentially.
It was a busy week. I hoped to go on vacation this week, but apparently press releases and startups raising rounds didn't think so. So here we are.
Awesome. All right, let's start with the biggest round of last week. Agritech startup Xfarm Technology raising about 17 million euro in Series B round, led by Swisscom Venture. So the biggest news of last week for sure in terms of fundraising. Xfarm has been around for quite a while, I would say. Definitely one of the I would say top 5 big player in Italy when it comes to precision farming and agritech. Very interesting trend because Italy is still like basically an area which is still like pre-agricultural to some extent. So it's an interesting angle, digitization of farming in general. And it's very, very well received in Italy. I know the guys basically put together this round to actually build on the expansion. I know they have already customers all around Europe. So it's really, I don't know if it's right to call it a startup anymore. I don't know. Yeah.
That definitions, that's hard to say. Even though to add to what you just said, they've been busy in the last few months. Since in December last year, they merged with another agritech startup, Farm Technologies, I believe. So they basically expanded the team and created the basis for probably this round. The lead of the round is Swisscom Ventures, and it should surprise us because the company is actually headquartered in Switzerland. Even though, as far as I know, it's basically all Italian, an Italian startup in terms of operations. The headquarters are in Switzerland. What else?
I was checking actually other portfolio company from Swisscom. I don't know if you came across this company before. For me, it was the first time to actually see all the operations. Definitely interesting for sure in terms of how exactly different ecosystems are interplaying. So we have also last week Italian Angel Group investing in the UK, and now like in Swiss investors investing in Italy. So it's definitely something moving. Yeah, there is some exchange there.
Yeah, but again, it just on the other side of the border. So it's mostly Italian for all the main aspects. But still, numbers that don't look so small, as you said. They claim to have 110,000 agriculture companies as customers, with 1.5 million hectares in over 100 countries in the world under management in their management platform. So I don't know about market size. Probably that's still a blip on the radar, but interesting numbers. So very good.
Yeah. And what is interesting is that they're really trying to push the boundaries on agricultural management. So it's not only land. Now it's mostly land, I would say. So irrigation, basically like pharmacology applied to agriculture. They want to expand it to actually other parts of agritech, including basically anything that is related to animal and anything that is like raising animals. So that's also like a very interesting way to build on the current platform to actually digitize a different part, which is still like very traditional, I would say. I mean, that's intuitively, that's definitely very low digitization rate.
Yeah, I agree. That's probably a wrong intuition in some sense, but still we're looking at, the ERPization of agriculture, basically. So the professionalization guided by digital for farmers and people working in agriculture.
Yeah.
And that's probably a big untapped market. I wouldn't say it's so behind, but it's big for sure.
Yeah. And I'm still thinking of relating that to really like, the pervasiveness of the web and how the next generation of farmer basically are millennial and Gen Z. So basically they were digitally native, and then they kind of are gonna require some form of digitization of what their parents were doing in some sense, maybe.
Well, if you think about it, a farm is very similar to some kind of factory, in a sense. Mm-hmm. So automation is probably a big chunk of a potential future for farming, or probably also a strong part of the present, but also a strong part of the future. So having very few people actually operating in the country, in the field,
yeah.
But having a lot of automation from the actual physical level to the software level. So,
yeah.
The pieces are out there. We are seeing them.
Absolutely.
Drones, sensors, IoT, satellite data about what's going on the field. So there are all the pieces are there, and probably platforms as X-Farm actually are there ready to be the pivot around which to build this type of new farm of the future.
Exactly. And autonomous like tractor, electric tractor, like drone, sensor, up to, the latest influencer being like, I don't know if you heard it. Some marketing companies, they define it like agro-influencer. I was talking with an agri-tech company, and they're actually looking at people that are, have a social following in social media because they document what they're doing on the farm. And there you go. So it's like extremely pervasive, beyond any form of imagination. So that's very interesting, actually.
Well, that's very, very interesting. I mean, we are going to see a proliferation of direct-to-consumer farming startups that are going to deliver at your door. They produce every morning, fresh, right out of the field or right out of the cow, depending on what you're talking about. But then there you go.
Yeah,
all the pieces are there. Logistics, automation.
Exactly. And even before that, I'm gonna see that you're milking your cow through the Instagram reels and stories, and now I'm gonna buy that liter of milk that you just got right there. So that's
live commerce exactly. For milk. That's perfect.
Amazing.
That's
Love
perfect.
it.
And I bet we are seeing it in less than probably 18 months.
I agree. I agree. It's out there. Now it's out there. We said it. It's out there. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Lipogems signed a 10 million club deal investment led by ABC Company, consulting company, and a permanent capital company. So maybe let's tell a little bit more about Lipogems in general, just to see exactly like what they're doing and how they're working. And then we can talk about like the model of ABC, which is also pretty interesting. Not the conventional investor, I would say, but I thought it was curious.
Well, we met Lipogem not long ago because they just they raised, I believe, let me check. I don't know the date, but not long ago they raised 1.7 million from in a round led by Lifty. And soon after, here we are discussing about this term sheet that they signed with ABC Company. The press release is not fully clear, I have to say, but what I understood is that ABC Company is committing to advising Lipogems to building a club deal for the company for a maximum of 10 million euros. Some articles mention that ABC Company is also going to invest. Others say they will be the lead investors, but it's not fully clear. Mm-hmm. ABC, on the other hand, is an interesting model in the sense as you were saying. So a public company, they are listed on the Euronext Growth Milan exchange. They seem to offer consulting in the corporate turnaround, corporate finance governance world. And apparently they also seem to offer fundraising capabilities and fundraising services.
Yeah. So is this an example of how consulting companies, well, strategic consulting companies and investors that previously worked more on traditional small and medium enterprise, kind of getting back to the startup world to work maybe with tech? Because we've seen every year we see like people basically reaching out to the capital the public capital markets in some way or another. Like later on we can talk about YOLO also, as you know. So I can see how this will definitely require some professionals to actually bring them professionally to the exchanges. So maybe that's there is a space there.
Well, I agree. That's another interesting angle that we should probably delve more into in the future. The other bit that's interesting is that ABC company is a benefit company. That's
true.
That's a very interesting angle.
That's true.
Because I mean, that's corporate services.
Yeah.
Right. So that ABC benefit company.
Yeah.
It's a big corp.
Very interesting. I wonder if this actually affects the clientele that they're gonna work with. Like they're gonna basically, are they gonna choose clients based on this like mission statement and the fact that they have like impact goals or ESG goals, or how big of a part is that of their thesis, their business thesis in general?
Yeah,
so that's super interesting.
Well, I mean, it seems that LipoGem is the first deal, at least of this type, that they signed. So it's early to say. LipoGem is a startup, let's say medtech startup, operating in the processing of adipose tissue, whatever that means. I have no idea. But I wonder if this is related actually to some kind of beneficial effect for people, for patients, like some that undergo some type of adipose surgery or stuff like that. Interesting.
Yeah.
Not my cup of tea, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, not the traditional deals that we see in digital tech, or I mean, this is more probably an IP sort of deal with some proprietary technologies and definitely patents. So that can be also something definitely tech, but extremely specific, extremely technical.
Let me add another bit to this. So, setting aside the fact that ABC company is a weird beast with respect to the things that we know, it is also a signal that, as you said, professional consultants are entering into the deal building part of the market. So actually supporting companies, startups into raising funding. That in Italy, it's something that we haven't seen so often, at least in my experience. It doesn't happen so often with respect to other more mature countries, areas, probably.
Yeah, my feeling is that in Italy is moving there, but on different planes and with a kind of a loose regulation for now that is little by little like becoming more and more clear, which is good, with certain nice rules. And I mean, it makes sense. And I think what I think it's good is that the ecosystem is really helping the build up of these operators. So sometimes, I think it was last year when something came up that was completely unreasonable, and then all the people in VC kind of like said their own opinion, and they managed to actually steer. I mean, there is some leverage there, which is good. I feel, don't remember exactly the specific case, but I can see and sense that there is this kind of very, very good interaction in tech in particular. So new operators are coming out, a new way of definitely financing are coming out. I mean, we're learning, and I think we're very sensitive to, of course, whatever the US are doing in general. Just think about anything safe, and we have a term in Italian for that, and when it's not safe, but is strumento di, I don't remember exactly the acronym.
Strumenti finanziari partecipativi.
Exactly, thank you. So there you go. It's nice to see actually the evolution in this sense, and so trying to actually keep what is good, and that's definitely working out. Awesome. Okay, let's jump maybe a little bit forward, and then maybe we can go back to like the smaller raise. But I want to focus the attention of the big deal of Intel. Actually, that's pretty huge. So Intel is planning a 5 billion investment to actually build semiconductor packaging and assembly in Italy. And that's another huge signal, I would say. And as it mentioned in the article, this is basically a huge reaction to whatever is happening in Asia, and this is a way of basically de-risking production. And it's powerful that it's coming to Italy, and it's powerful that it's going to create jobs, it's going to create talents, it's going to require high-skilled employees and managers. So definitely a great and positive sign.
Yep, 100% of this. So I mean, I totally subscribe to what you're saying. And of course, I like the idea of having a chip factory by Intel in Italy, but I love the thought of having talent coming out of there and increasing our capabilities on the industrial side of chip design, fabrication, production, and so on and so forth. So that's really important. And from the article, the investment of 5 billion it comes within a larger planned investment of $88 billion across Europe. That's a huge amount.
That's just like 40x everything that is invested in Italy per year in startups, just in one project. I mean,
thank you so much for reminding.
Well, let's just give relative values like their weight. We're growing, but we're still pretty, we have a long way to go. That's the idea. Yeah. So, I was reading also some statistic which make me laugh all the time. I think US in Q2 raised about something between 50 and 60 billion, or maybe more. I mean, it was just incredible compared to our scale. But it's cool. It's cool. It's the first derivative is what matters. So if we're growing or not. So that's the point. Also the second derivative. Never know. Awesome. All right. Another very interesting element in terms of corporate announcement that you point out is the fact that Eni, one of the big historical energy company in Italy, basically launching a corporate venture builder called Eniverse Ventures. So I believe Eni has been, like a lot of energy companies in Italy, they've been placing bets in energy startup in general across the years, and now they're taking a stronger stance by actually activating a real program that leverages basically everything that was internally created in terms of technology. So that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, that's an interesting approach to venture creation. I mean, they're going to scout all the technology that they have within the company at large, find out those that can be transformed into enterprises, and build teams in order to incubate these enterprises and help them touch the market, identify their positioning, and see whether those business models can run or else.
Yeah,
that's very interesting. I think there are a lot of eyes that right now are looking at Eniverse and trying to understand what will happen in the short term with that, because there are probably many other companies similar to Eni in Italy that have assets they can leverage in this way.
Yeah, I think that the question is how exactly to mold them into businesses. And I think it's good to kind of see the good old Google venture kind of model in a way, or maybe just the Google model where there are teams trying to exploit very specific products, being it tools to integrate and then see how they perform. Nobody remembers how many dead apps are in Google. Were you still using Gmail since 2006? But from there, how many projects were ditched because they just didn't work out? And it's fun to see. That's probably a very good model actually when it comes to try a business idea with trial and error and really build it from there. That's a good model. Yeah,
totally agree.
Interesting. All right, let's talk about YOLO. That's your field, so that's also something interesting. It's good news. Again, it's the second time it's a good news. So post IPO, basically, YOLO. Again, we talked about YOLO, InsurTech startup, a few episodes ago. On Friday, they basically held their IPO on the Euronext Growth in Milan. And the company basically managed to raise about 10 million euro for about 22% of the company, which has been put into the public markets. So that's if I remember correctly. Nick, if you want to add something, I thought it was good. It was good because I think it's a great example again, and I try to connect it to the question that we were discussing before, which is. When a company should raise venture, when a company should raise debt, when a company should just go into IPO immediately, no matter the size. And we have good examples. That's a good example, I feel, where actually it's a solid company moving forward, managed to raise. It's a public now. So Euronext Growth is not big. It has about 180 something companies, public companies. So it's not huge, but yeah, it's growing thanks also to these operations.
Well, Euronext is investing quite a bit on the growth sub-segments because they're basically the high school before graduating for the main segments. So, in between last year and this year, I believe they listed almost 60 companies in Italy alone.
Wow,
that's a big number. Small-ish IPOs. Between a few million to a few tens of millions of capital raised, but still quite a bit of capital raised from the market for a lot of companies that were more or less grown-up startups or some kind of SMEs with upside potential. So let's call it this way, because not all the IPOs are equal. And in the case of YOLO, there's more a grown-up startup than SMEs with potential, because they are still investing heavily in growth. 10 million was the target for these IPOs, so they reached the target, and it was a good goal considering the market conditions, the current market conditions in particular.
Yeah, no, for sure.
They also raised a 3 million bonds. So the total actually raised in the round was 13 million euros. And the company now has a very aggressive growth plan. The founders are very experienced. So they managed to, if you think about it, they managed to fund the startup and get to the IPO in 5 years. So YOLO was born in 2017.
Wow.
And we were there from day zero. So the company wasn't even existing at the time. So it's a very short time frame. It feels like it was a century ago with everything that happened in the meantime, but it is just 5 years. So we'll see going forward.
Beautifully executed, definitely. In such a small time frame, that's definitely beautifully executed.
Yeah, I have to say the founders have been extremely good, extremely well prepared for addressing fundraising first and reacting to a market that was all basically closing down during Q2. So they were perfect execution.
Awesome. All right, Nick, some final mentions, just not to miss out on something. I think we covered the biggest of last week.
Well, we have to note that Italian Angels for Growth continues investing abroad.
Awesome.
So this time they invested in Built AI, that's a UK-based AI startup in the commercial real estate market.
Yeah.
But still, the key data point is the one that we've been discussing for the last few podcasts. They are changing their investment strategy and they're opening up abroad. They set up this new investment, quick, fast track. For
Yeah, the fast
investments.
track, yeah, and the premium something like the hot deals, yeah, the hot
The
deals.
hot deals fast
Hot
track,
deals,
exactly.
yeah.
That's the one, and we are seeing the results. So they are churning out investments at a faster pace than the last couple of years. Let's say.
Yeah.
So that's the most interesting piece. And then we had a few other deals, but not too shabby, because all of them more than 1 million euros. So congratulations to all the startups. Pretty beefing up Thunder, and Neuralink that raise capital. That's good news for that system.
Awesome. All right, Nick, thank you so much. And I'll see you basically end of August for the next episode. So we're going to take a little pause, and then we'll see everyone in a couple of weeks with the Week in Italian Startup.
Yep. Enjoy your break. Have a great holidays. Ciao, everybody.